Hello and welcome, dear viewers. Whilst browsing the internet, I hear a lot about a group called Antifa these days. Now what is Antifa?
Alright, they just smashed a Bank of America and a Starbucks. Riot police moved in, they went running. It's starting, guys.
Well, I think you got the gist of it. This is Antifa, otherwise known as anti-fascists. They are a group of violent anarcho-communists who dedicate their seemingly pointless lives to beating up fascists and shutting them down by whatever means quote-unquote necessary. But the strange thing is that in doing so, Antifa seems to beat up a lot of normal working class people. Well, which is, if you think about it, kind of ironic because they claim to be communists, fighting for the working class, and anarchists that dislike violence. Even though they use violence, but hey, they do that because to them they are all fascists, so it doesn't matter, it's justified. They also seem to have been busy, at least in the USA, at shutting down Milo Yiannopoulos' speeches at colleges like the one in Berkeley not long ago, because apparently he's a fascist, just as bad as Hitler. No difference. So with that said, we have to ask ourselves, what qualifies people as fascists in their eyes? What is fascism by their standards?
So you did a bunch of interviews after and you were asked about this, and you were, to your credit, I think, very straightforward about it and unapologetic, and you said, yeah, this guy was a fascist, Milo's a fascist, and we shut him down. You didn't pretend otherwise. We shut him down, and that's what you do with fascists. I think I'm characterizing what you said correctly. Just so we can understand the standard here, what is a fascist?
So a fascist is someone who's organizing a mass movement that's attacking women, immigrants, black people, other minority groups in a movement of genocide. That's what a fascist is.
Okay. So it's someone who's committing violence?
And it's someone who's committing violence and who's trying to organize other people to commit violence.
Okay.
And Milo Yiannopoulos is a fascist.
Okay.
Well, I have to say, it's kind of ironic that the anti-fascists don't even know what fascism is. Well, I can tell you for sure that that is not what fascism is. Well, if you can't ask them, then I guess we have to find that out ourselves. Let's start with the basics. In short, fascism is a radical authoritarian nationalism that is characterized by dictatorship and control of industry and commerce. Now, there are two kinds of fascism though. There is clerical fascism and there is ethnic fascism. Clerical fascism is a collectivist and totalitarian ideology that thinks the dictatorial power of a leader comes from God himself, and also focuses on combining the state and religion together, giving the said religion immense power over the people. It therefore does not support a secular state. Classic examples of clerical fascism would be Franco's fascist Spain and Joseph Tiso's fascist regime in the Slovak Republic. Tiso even being a better example because not only was he a dictator of the country, but also a priest. I would be willing to bet though that Antifa is not actually opposing clerical fascism, if they even knew that term existed in the first place. Because then they would be pretty much opposed to how many countries in the Middle East are governed, there being clerical fascism focused around Islam, and it having its own term even called Islamofascism, which I will make a video on another day. Now what I would guess they are actually opposing to is the basic fascism, more centered around ethnicity, also known as ethnic fascism. Now, ethnic fascism is basically the same. except that instead of using religion, they use history and culture to unite the people as one collective identity. And they also promote one-party state. But just as a side note though, clerical fascism also promotes one-party state. Examples of ethnic fascism are Mussolini's fascist Italy and Hitler's Nazi Germany, Nazism being basically the same but even more extreme. Fascism is anti-individualistic in nature and rejects classical liberalism and freedom of the individual, because for the fascists, the interest of the state is far more important than the happiness and liberty of the individual. Fascists think in one collective, where no one can have individual thoughts or opinions, and if anyone disagrees with the whole collective or cause, they become the enemy. Now, here is where things get funny. If you look into the behavior of the fascists of the 20th century, they are actually not that dissimilar from the Antifa movement. Just like the fascists, they have a classic collectivist way of thinking. Like all collectivists, they use the us versus them mentality to create an outgroup of all the people that are not them, of all the people they consider the enemy. And like fascists, they advocate for violence against those said enemies. They use violence against so-called Nazis or fascists and intend to rise in power using said violence. Or well, in their case, dismantle power, because, they are anarchists, and as such, anything that resembles power to them is bad, and therefore the state and the government must be abolished. But the thing is, those so-called Nazis and fascists are actually not Nazis and fascists. Those are just ordinary people that are protecting their rights to free speech. They are all from all kinds of political backgrounds. You can find conservatives, libertarians, capitalists, Republicans, even nationalists, you name it. These are all individuals who are out there to protect their rights against you, Antifa. And it's actually kind of ironic how Antifa has managed to unite all those people despite their differences in opinions. But well, it's against them, so yeah. The Antifa movement, like the fascist movement, wants to dictate people's opinions and thoughts. They think that all they are doing is justified and is for a greater good. Well, I got news for you, Antifa. It's not. Like we are seeing these days, people don't like you and want you gone. There are people, me included, that want government officials from all over the world to declare you a domestic terror group, because that's what you pricks are. A bunch of thugs that think violence is justified if it's against the right people. Well, I'm gonna wrap up this video with one quote from what I would consider a great guy, and I think is a very accurate quote regarding these days' events. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you in another video.